Hello, welcome to this video. We are going to talk about the climate crisis and everything that's wrong, especially here in the New York area. People are just completely oblivious. And, of course, if you've been following the news, you know that, everything going on around the world. The wildfires, the heat waves, and the rapid warming of the Arctic as the jet streams just descend into chaos as our sea surface temperatures explode to records never seen in recent history. As this climate crisis, everybody thought it was going to be slow, but it's actually happening pretty quick, and that's the scary thing about it. Wall Street just continues to win day after day after day in their own little world, in their own little bubble, oblivious. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of power Wall Street has over people, and we're also going to talk about that in this video as well, because Wall Street is out of control and it needs to be reined in, and we need to do something about this climate crisis, because honestly, there is nothing to celebrate. I don't know why they're winning, but there's nothing to celebrate. They think it's not going to affect them, but it is going to affect them. Everybody, every living creature on this planet is going to be affected by the climate crisis in different ways, but everybody will be affected, and it will be devastating. Well, let's talk about all the mayhem going on as this climate crisis worsens. And there's nothing to celebrate. As I'll keep reiterating in this video, time and time again, there is nothing to celebrate. It says here, Japan just experienced the worst heat wave since records began in 1875. Extreme weather conditions are commonplace in today's global environmental realities. Heat waves are becoming more frequent, more intense, and longer lasting during the summer months. The Northern Hemisphere is no exception, with countries from the UK to China to Italy sweltering under intense heat. Yet, even in the context of our new climate certainties, the recent heat wave in Japan is extraordinary. Temperatures reached 104 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 40 Celsius, for the first time on record for the month of June. On July 3rd, Tokyo exceeded 95 degrees for the 9th consecutive day, the longest streak since records began in 1875. Hundreds of deaths were attributed to the heat, and nearly 5,000 people went to the hospital seeking treatment for heat stroke and exhaustion over just a couple of days. The majority of those patients are senior citizens, who make up a significant share of Japan's aging population. These extreme temperatures so early in the summer are raising concerns over what might lie ahead, with August typically one of Japan's hottest months. But concerns go well beyond those of comfort. The usual heat, combined with current geopolitical instability, has exposed the fragility of Japan's energy system. Since shutting down most of its nuclear power plants after the 2011 accident in Fukushima, oh, that's a terrible mistake right there, and more recently shutting down coal-fired power plants to reduce carbon emission, Japan relies primarily on liquefied natural gas imports. Very bad. Very bad. So Japan took a major step backwards. Major step backwards. Liquefied natural gas cannot be stockpiled and exponentially more costly due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and responding world sanctions. So, let's see, it says read more. Where's the rest of it? I guess that's it. All right, kind of a short article there. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer, but, just one example of what's going on. Let's look at some other articles going on around the planet on all the crazy things happening. All right. Let's go to the BBC. Europe heat waves. Wildfires rage in Greece as temperatures soar. So everywhere you look, we're dealing with this heat. Large swaths of Southern Europe continue to swelter in record heat as wildfires rage across the continent. It's not just Canada, it's all over the planet. Temperatures hit a high of 46.3 degrees in Sicily on Tuesday. 46.3 degrees Celsius as crews battled fires in Greece and the Swiss Alps. So let's see what 46.3 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. (115 degrees in Sicily. Wow. Most of Italy's major cities are on red alert, meaning the extreme heat carries a health risk to everybody, not just vulnerable groups. Scientists say climate change is making heat waves longer, more intense, and more frequent. Across the world, millions of people are being impacted by extreme weather, from soaring temperatures in the U.S. and China to heavy rainfall in East Asia, and we've had our own cases of heavy rainfall here as well. The World Meteorological Organization says heat waves will become more severe in the years ahead, and that extreme weather patterns highlight the need for more climate action. These events will continue to grow in intensity, and the world needs to prepare for more intense heat waves, says John Nairn, Senior Extreme Heat Advisor at the UN agency. So take a look at these temperatures. These are in Celsius here, but those temperatures are well over 100. Since Monday, Greece has seen multiple wildfires break out across the country, including one which led to the evacuation of 1,200 children from a summer camp. The most severe fire in Greece currently is in the Dervenochoria region north of Athens, where billowing smoke can be seen on satellite images. Other fires continue to rage in towns of Loutraki, a coastal town near the city of Corinth, and in Kouvaras, south of the capital. Our main concern is protecting human life, fire spokesman Yanis Artopoulos said. Elsewhere in Europe, crews in Switzerland are battling a wildfire close to the village of Bisch in Canton. Vallis, which authorities, sorry if I have trouble pronouncing some of these names, which authorities have said started on Monday afternoon and spread explosively overnight. And then there's another wildfire on the Spanish island of La Palma, which started on Saturday that has destroyed 20 homes. But cooler overnight temperatures and higher air humidity levels help firefighters gain the upper hand in their battle against the blaze and bring it under control. There's still a lot of destruction to deal with. Red alerts warning people of a very high health risk due to the intense heat remain in place for most of Italy, Spain, Greece, and parts of the Balkans. Official maximum temperatures for Tuesday have not yet been confirmed, but provisional results showed a high of 45.3 degrees Celsius in Figueros in northwest Spain and 44.5 in Boladou on the island of Sardinia, on an island, all right, and 46.3 in Lucata in Sicily. The highest temperature ever recorded in Europe was set in August 2021 when the mercury hit 48.8 degrees Celsius, that's 119.8 Fahrenheit, in the Palermo region of Sicily. My gosh. Extreme temperatures have also gripped other parts of the globe, including the U.S. and China. More than 80 million people in the western and southern U.S. states are under advisories for a widespread and oppressive heat wave. Temperatures at California's Death Valley hit a near-record 52 Celsius, that's 125.6 Fahrenheit Sunday, while on Monday, Arizona's state capital, Phoenix, tied its record of 18 consecutive days above 43 Celsius, 109.4 Fahrenheit. It actually broke that record. China previously broke its record for all-time highest temperature on Sunday when it recorded 52.2 Celsius, that's 126 degrees Fahrenheit, in its western Xinjiang region, according to the UK Met Office. Wow. So all-time record broke in China. Also in Asia, China's eastern coast, torrential rain brought on by Typhoon Talim has displaced thousands. Talim is heading for Vietnam, where 30,000 people are in the storm's path, have had to move to higher ground. It comes after, as South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol vowed to completely overhaul the country's approach to extreme weather after dozens were killed in widespread flooding and landslides this weekend. Leading UK scientist Dr. Frederick Otto from the Imperial College London told the BBC, "What we are seeing at the moment is exactly what we expect in a world where we are still burning fossil fuels. Humans are 100% behind the upward trend in global temperatures," she explained. The International Energy Agency has said there can be no new oil, gas, or coal projects if governments are serious about tackling climate change. That's exactly right. We've got to stop burning fossil fuels. Scientists say Europe in particular is warming faster than many climate models predicted. Of course, it's always worse than what the models say. There is a feeling that it's going out of control, University Reading Professor Hannah Cloak explains. We have a lot of work to do to pin down exactly what's happening. These heat waves are frightening. We know this will be really deadly. She and more than 61,000 people were estimated to have died. She said, She said more than 61,000 people were estimated to have died from heat in Europe last year, and this year would be similar. So heat can be deadly. It is the heat this heat is really scary. All right, this is just one of many articles we can read about this. There's another article. Canada wildfire smoke worsens air quality in Canada and Georgia and North Carolina. And we now have a fire in Oregon that has now grown to 12,576 acres. 12,756 acres. Really, really bad. We're getting more wildfires on the West Coast now. I mean, it's all you got to do is go to the MODIS. Put the MODIS on here. Look at the MODIS satellite, and you'll see all these fires burning. And I mean, they're all over. We're looking at this one. You see all the smoke from here. Look at all this. Is all over Northwest Territories, Canada here. All this smoke. All right, look at that. It's even going into the Arctic, where it's going to darken sea ice and cause more melting. And then if we look over here, here's the fire in Oregon. That's pretty big right there. I'll show it to you yesterday, too, as well. This fire has been going for, it looks like it started on the 15th. And you can see it's just been getting worse since. All right. We have wildfires all over the place, guys. All right. It's incredible to see so much of the world on fire right now. We take you to Greece. There's that fire, and again, yesterday, the smoke plume it was going all the way to Africa. I mean, that's incredible, all right? And then we have wildfires also in eastern Russia. These aren't even getting talked about right now, but we have wildfires over here, too, as well. So many areas of the world are on fire right now. Actually, we have fires over here, and then if we go over here to extreme northeast Russia in Siberia, wow, look at all these wildfires going. So it's really incredible, all these fires that we have going on across the planet. I've never, ever seen it like this before. And this is all part of the climate crisis. This is all part of what's happening. And, I just Googled wildfires. I could put Russia in. All right? Wildfires raging in parts of Russia. This was they reported this in May. So this started in May. State of emergency declared in Siberia over raging wildfires. This was as of July 3rd. State of emergency declared in Siberia. Authorities in Russia's Far East declared a state of emergency on Monday as summer wildfires spread amid intense heat and lightning storms. The head of the Republic of Sakha, a region known as Yakutia, wrote in the Telegram messaging app that more than 110 forest fires were raging across 61,000 hectares, roughly three-quarters the size of New York City. In recent days, there has been intense heat. Thunderstorm activity has intensified, which is the norm for the situation's complexity. It's unbelievable. Wildfires have become more intense in Russia. I could just go on and on and on. We already know Canada has had their worst wildfire season on record. All right. Fighting a losing battle. Waves of wildfires leave. There's not manpower in the world to stop these, to control them. There's nothing they can do but sit and watch them burn. We have the storms. We have the flooding. We have the Atlantic ocean temperatures. Ocean heat wave in North Atlantic is worst in 170 years. The exceptionally warm waters could pose a deadly threat to marine life. Look at this. I mean, this is yet another part of what we're going through. Everywhere, we are in crisis. This is articles geared more to the United Kingdom. However, it's also going to kill the corals off Florida too, as well. So we're going to lose the coral reefs too. The ocean waters surrounding the United Kingdom and much of Europe are baking in an unprecedented marine heat wave that scientists say is being intensified by human-caused climate change. Scientists are astounded not only by how much the waters have warmed during the past month, but also how early in the year the heat wave is occurring. The warm waters are a threat to marine life and could worsen heat waves over land this summer. Sea surface temperatures are running as high as 5 degrees Celsius, 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, the warmest in more than 170 years, and are more typical of August and September when the waters are usually warmest. The event has registered as a Category 4 on the NOAA's marine heat wave scale, with localized areas reaching Category 5. This is a marine heat wave. NOAA defines a marine heat wave as a period with persistent and unusually warm ocean temperatures, which can have significant impacts on marine life as well as coastal communities and economies. The agency describes Category 4 as extreme and Category 5 beyond extreme. So here's like two maps here. Beyond extreme by definition. We are in some very big trouble, folks. Last month was the warmest May since 1850 for the Atlantic Ocean around the United Kingdom, and the warmest compared to average for any other month, the country's Met Office reported. And that was before water temperatures soared in early June, in part because of abundant sunshine and warm breezes from the southwest. The average sea surface temperature near the United Kingdom and in Ireland is closing in on 15 degrees Celsius, that's 59 degrees Fahrenheit, which has only happened once before in June. It seems very likely that June 2023 will set a new record in the region as sea surface temperatures continue to rise. Here's a chart of this. The North Atlantic heat wave is part of a rapid warming of ocean waters globally since March that has scientists confused about the cause and concerns about its impact. Well, this is runaway climate change. We've tipped the balance. We're screwed, basically. And nobody seems to want to do anything about it, even if we could. Getting back to the article, global ocean surface temperatures reached a record high in May for the second consecutive month, NOAA said in a report last month, and appears to have continued on a record pace during June. The chance of seeing such warm sea surface temperatures is 1 in 256,000, said Brian McNulty, a hurricane researcher at the University of Miami. And the way sea surface temperatures are going, I can't even rule out a Category 4 or even a 5 possibly impacting Long Island. That is truly frightening. Because if a Category 4 or 5 hurricane hits Long Island is just ruined. It's done. It's destroyed. NOAA forecasters say the marine heat wave conditions in the North Atlantic have a 90 to 100% chance to continue through August and a 78 to 80% chance to last through the end of this year. Yeah. The unusual warm waters in the tropical Atlantic are already influencing the hurricane season, which helped Tropical Storm Brett form the furthest east of any storm on record so early in the season. Longer-term impacts of warming oceans could include higher sea levels, more intense storms with heavier rain, and more frequent regional marine heat waves like the one surrounding Europe now. So, possible causes range from cleaner air to climate change. Sometimes scientists have pointed to a reduction in air pollution from ships, which started in 2020 when they were required to use fuel containing less sulfur. Sulfur degrades air quality but also cools the Earth's surface by reflecting sunlight back into space. Other warming influences, which might include a weaker than normal area of high pressure in the North Atlantic, weaker winds carrying less sun-blocking Sahara dust into the Atlantic, and developing El Niño, which tends to warm ocean waters in certain areas. In addition to natural variation in weather and ocean patterns, scientists say that human-caused climate change has increased the chances of heat waves on both land and in oceans. Every spike in the variability between the warmer and cooler events tends to be greater than the previous one, Thomas Smith, a professor of environmental geography at the London School of Economics and Political, said in an email. That's an underlying trend is caused by fossil fuel greenhouse gas emissions. Potential impacts on marine life and local weather. So experts say that the impacts on marine life depend on how long the heat wave persists. They could be deadly because warming waters deplete the oxygen that marine animals need to survive. The temperatures are not yet lethal for most sensitive species, although they will be stressed. However, if temperatures remain at 4 to 5 degrees Celsius above normal through to September, we could see a significant die-off in critical species from the marine ecosystems that surround the UK, such as kelp and seagrass, as well as oysters and various fish species that are important for regional economies. And the United Kingdom better get ready for hurricanes, because they're going to get them now as well. All right. United Kingdom or Ireland are, and because it says here right here, because the United Kingdom and Ireland are surrounded by an unusually warm North Atlantic Ocean to the west and an equally warm North Sea to the east, whichever way the winds blow they will pass over the warmest waters that we've experienced in the observational record for this time of year. Until we get to next year, because it'll be even warmer. That could lead to a more turbulent atmosphere and the associated storms and heavy rainfall. And that means, what I'm saying, the hurricanes are a possibility in the United Kingdom. Most certainly. They better get ready for them. And for us here on Long Island, I dread to think with the monsters that warm water could kick up our NP. Everybody likes to compare it to Sandy, and let me tell you, Sandy is nothing compared to what we are going to be facing in the future. So, with all that we've read, it's obvious that we need to stop burning fossil fuels. And the most pressing thing and the biggest thing that's really causing a lot of fossil fuel emissions is the use of personal vehicles, particularly when there are large SUVs and pickup trucks. And the most immediate thing that all government officials need to do is do everything in their power to encourage people to use public transportation. And that means making public transportation more accessible, cheaper, and more reliable. But that's not happening in New York. No, that is not happening. The first thing we talk about, of course, is Nice Bus. Nice Bus. All right? This is the perfect example of how to lose ridership on a bus system. All right? We can look at their little map here. Maps. Let's go to their little map here of all the routes. And you'll notice all the routes that are missing that used to exist when we used to have Long Island Bus. All right? We used to have the 73, the 74, the 81, the 45, the 46, the 50, the 51, just to name a few. Then there were other, service cut on other routes. The 27 and the 20, it runs less often and not on weekends. They've cut a lot of bus service in Nassau County. All right? This is a skeleton system of what used to run. All right? And less people are using it because it's less convenient for them. It's less reliable, and it's not as accessible. We were much better off with MTA Long Island Bus. But then there's the MTA itself, which unfortunately is not the same MTA it was when we had Long Island Bus. Instead, we have an MTA run by a bunch of Wall Street hacks that decide to raise the fares. In this time of climate crisis, they decide to raise the fares. Even though New Jersey is not raising their fares, even though most other states in this country aren't raising transit fares, the MTA has decided to raise fares on the Long Island Railroad, Metro North, and the subway system, even though they are already some of the highest in the nation. So how is that going to encourage people to use public transportation? It says here, MTA approves LIRR fare increase, and a board member declares it's not a hike. Oh, it is a hike. What they unanimously approved it. All right, so it says the MTA voted unanimously in favor of a 4% hike increase system-wide. And then Neil Zuckerman said, though, this is not a fare hike. This is an increase. I don't want a hike. A hike is something like double digits. This is no hike. Neil Zuckerman. He's one of those Wall Street hacks. All right? Riders are likely to see an incremental increase in 2025 and 2027 as well. Yes, every 2 years. They want to raise fares every 2 years. And there are other things that will be happening as well, in addition to this, that they're not mentioning here. And we're going to with the MTA page here because it has it right here. See fare and toll changes. So, again, New Jersey Transit isn't raising their fares, MTA. Why do you have to raise fares? Somehow New Jersey finds a way not to raise fares, but you have to raise fares. All right? Before the COVID-19, we agreed to implement fare increases every 2 years. And then they credit the governor. We're able to put off a 2021 scheduled fare increase. Well, how come Phil Murphy is able to put off any kind of fare increase? Again, what is Phil Murphy doing that Kathy Hochul isn't? Now, with ridership growing, we're returning to the regular fare increases that allow us to maintain current service levels and even increase service frequency. So they're saying here, we're able to keep the fare increase to 4% rather than 5.5%. The MTA is always working to cut costs and reduce operating expenses to keep fares affordable for customers. So the base fare in the city, all right, it's only $275 to $290. These are small increases, all right, for the city. But for the commuter rail, which is where you're going to get a lot of your discretionary ridership, this is where it's going to be worse, all right? Though they claim monthly and weekly fares will remain lower than they were pre-COVID because there's a 10% discount on monthly and weekly tickets. Recognizing the exceptionally high fares in the farthest railroad zones, monthly ticket fares will not exceed $500. The discount for traveling off-peak will be standard to 26% across both railroads. Until now, Metro-North discount was 25%, while LARR's was 27.5%. So they're making it seem like it's not so bad. There will be slightly higher increases of 6 to 7% on LARR off-peak tickets and slightly lower increases of 2.3% on Metro-North off-peak tickets. There will be no fare increase for any ticket type on the Metro-North, Port Jervis, and Pascagoula Valley lines because they run through the great state of New Jersey. All other ticket types will increase by as much as 10%, however. Any ticket increase greater than 6% will be held to a maximum increase of 50 cents per trip. LARR Metro-North will continue to offer uni-ticket fares on travel on both commuter rail and connecting bus and ferry services. Changes in those fares will be based on part of the changes to weekly and monthly transit fares. Now, there is some other stuff going on, though, that they're not mentioning, and I'm wondering if the Atlantic ticket has survived, because I think they killed off the Atlantic ticket. Yes, here we go. Here's the bottom part. This is what is going to cause people not to ride the train. As the MTA adopts new city ticket pilots, and in the interest of standardizing and simplifying commuter railroad fares, both the $5 one-way Atlantic ticket and $60 weekly Atlantic ticket will be discontinued. Instead, they will have city tickets, which is a $5 flat fare ticket to travel within New York City during off-peak times, and then there is a $7 peak city ticket. All right? And the second thing, which is even more damaging, is the 20-trip peak ticket, introduced in 2022 to encourage infrequent customers to commute more regularly, will be discontinued as post-COVID travel patterns continue to return to normal. They have not returned to normal. You still have a lot of people working less. They're going to be people that don't commute every day. And now what you're telling them is they're going to have to shell out a lot more money to pay a peak ticket, a peak one way, which will be ridiculous, or a monthly, which will cost them a lot of money, and they're just going to choose to drive. All right? So, and this all goes into effect on August 20th. They're doing it sooner than anticipated. So, this is the MTA's way of combating climate change. And then we get to Governor Hochul, who likes to run her mouth about climate change. And she was running her mouth about climate change a few days ago, and I'm glad she's running her mouth talking about climate change. That's great. She's talking about it, but this action is not going to help. Again, how come Governor Phil Murphy doesn't have to raise fares in his state? How come Governor Phil Murphy knows how to properly run a state, look out for the environment, look out for the citizens of that state, keep transit affordable, while Governor Kathy Hochul decides we're going to raise fares anyway? Not to mention they have the nerve to charge seniors and disabled peak fares on the morning trains. Nobody does that. That's discrimination. I don't know how they get away with it. All right? But this is an encouragement. What has she done to combat climate change? It says addressing New York's housing crisis. What has she done to address New York's housing crisis? It continues to get more and more expensive. She's in on the plan to force us out, don't you see? It doesn't mean Lee Zeldin was going to be any better with the environment. But she's a fake Democrat. She calls herself a progressive. She's a fake progressive. Because a real progressive governor would never let the fares go up on the MTA. If she was anything, to get the fares to go down, or at least keep them the same. Somehow, again, Phil Murphy has been able to do that. Phil Murphy has been able to look out for the citizens of New Jersey and take care of each and every one of them, equally and fairly. But somehow we can't do that in New York, right? Somehow we can't have a governor like Phil Murphy. We have to have some elitist like Kathy Hochul, right? Who is only going to be looking out for the rich and Wall Street, and not really doing anything about the climate crisis. Because if she was serious about the climate crisis, she would get more people on public transportation. All right, New Jersey's done a good job of that. But what have you done, Kathy Hochul? Oh, the fare increase won't be as bad. There shouldn't be any fare increase at all. Somehow New Jersey is not having a fare increase. What are they doing in New Jersey so they don't have a fare increase? Why can't we do that here? It's a simple question. But they cannot answer that. So in conclusion, we look out as the sun sets over us, and we're worse off now than we were even 15 years ago. Even though we know the climate crisis has gotten much worse, we're doing less and less to actually combat it. We know what's going on, yet we're driving more people to their cars. We haven't done a darn thing about people who consume excess amounts produce so much carbon with those damn pickups. We haven't done anything about any of this. We've only moved backwards since 15 years ago. We have less bus service. We have less people taking the bus. We have more cars on the road, more ignorance and more hate than ever before, especially in the United States, especially in a certain part of Long Island. We all know the part of Long Island that is. And we're moving backwards. And I'm scared of the future. I'm scared of what kind of future this is going to. This is going to be the new normal. Every summer is going to be like this. It's going to be hot. It's going to be hotter. It's going to be humid. It's going to be more humid. It's going to be stormier. We're going to have worse hurricanes. And I don't even want to think about being stuck in this place when all hell breaks loose. Once the power goes out here, this place is uninhabitable because it's so hot here. But I guess that's just another way of being forced out. Eventually, Long Island will be destroyed. You should say, let them have it and just leave Long Island. Because Long Island will be uninhabitable from climate change. But don't tell that to the snobs. You want to laugh? I'm not reading this article, but you want to laugh about how vain these snobs are. Wall Street is eyeing this Long Island area as the new Hamptons. That's right, Atlantic Beach, Long Island. And Long Beach is very popular too, by the way. Even though Atlantic Beach and Long Beach are going to be the first places to go. How dumb are these people? My gosh. They think all their money is going to protect them from the hurricane? When the wall of water comes and just sweeps all over the whole island and washes everything away, they think their money is going to stop them from that? I mean, really? This is the world we are living in, folks. And you have people that are just completely in their own little world, just oblivious. Completely. And I mean completely oblivious to reality. It's unbelievable. But I think this video is long enough. This climate crisis is only going to get worse. I'm scared for sure. I'm very scared of what the future holds. And I'm worried that I may not survive this. I'm already struggling in the heat, and it's only going to get worse and more humid. This is another reason why I got to move. But again, the only more habitable, only other areas on Long Island that I'm pretty much with the housing market. I'm getting squeezed out. And maybe it's doing me a favor because Long Island will be destroyed in the end. I don't know. But I'm scared. And if you're not scared, you're stupid. That is one thing that I want to make clear before I wrap up this video. And that is that we need to take this climate crisis more seriously than any other issue. This is a crisis that needs immediate attention from our elected officials. We need to put aside all the Wall Street corruption and all the differences and all this stuff, because this is going to affect every living creature on this planet, rich or poor, maybe in different ways, but you cannot run away from this. There is no escape. And we need to face the reality that we need to act now. Enough talk. We need to act now and start changing our ways. It may already be too late, but let's just give it a shot. All right? Thank you for watching.